shall be moving amendments to DICGC Act 1961 in this session itself to streamline the provision so that if a bank is temporarily unable to fulfill its obligations, the depositors of such bank can get easy and time-bound access to their deposits to the extent of the deposit insurance cover. This would help depositors of banks that are currently under stress. To improve credit discipline, while continuing to protect the interest of small borrowers, for NBFCs with minimum asset size of 100 crores, the minimum loan size eligible for debt recovery under the Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Security Interests SARFAESI Act 2002, it is proposed to be reduced from the existing level of 50 lakhs to 20 lakhs. Company matters. The decriminalization of the procedural and technical compoundable offenses under Companies Act 2013 is now complete. I now propose to take up decriminalization of the Limited Liability Partnerships Act 2008. Honorable Speaker, I propose to revise the definition under the Companies Act 2013 for small companies by increasing the threshold for paid-up capital from not exceeding 50 lakh to not exceeding 2 crores and turnover from not exceeding 2 crores to not exceeding 20 crores. This will benefit more than 2 lakh companies in easing their compliance requirements. As a further measure which directly benefits startups and innovators, I propose to incentivize the incorporation of one-person companies by allowing one-person companies to grow without any restriction on paid-up capital and turnover, allowing their conversion into any other type of company at any time, reducing the residency limit for an Indian citizen to set up an one-person company from 182 days to 120 days, and allow also non-resident Indians to incorporate OPCs in India. This will be a big boost for startups. To ensure faster resolution of cases, the NCLT framework will be strengthened, e-court system shall be implemented, and alternate methods of debt resolution and special framework for MSMEs shall be introduced. During the coming fiscal, we will be launching data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning driven MCA 2.1 version to MCA 21 version 3.0. MCA 21 version 3.0. This version 3.0 will have additional modules for e-scrutiny, e-adjudication, e-consultation, and compliance management. Disinvestment and strategic sale. In spite of COVID-19, we have kept working towards strategic disinvestment. A number of transactions, namely BPCL, Air India, Shipping Corporation of India, Container Corporation of India, IDBI Bank, Bharat Earth Movers Limited, Pawan Hans, Neelachal Ispat Nigam Limited, among others, would be completed in 21-22. Other than IDBI Bank, we propose to take up the 2 public sector banks and 1 general insurance company in the year 21-22. This would require legislative amendments, and I propose to introduce the amendments in this session itself. In 21-22, We would also bring the IPO of LIC, for which I am bringing the requisite amendments in this session itself. In the Atmanirbhar package, I had announced that we will come out with a policy of strategic disinvestment of public sector enterprises. I'm happy to inform the House that the government has the government has approved the said policy. The policy provides a clear roadmap for disinvestment in all non-strategic and strategic sectors. We have kept 4 areas that are strategic, where bare minimum CPSEs will be maintained and rest privatized. In the remaining sectors of all CPSEs will be privatized. The main highlights of the policy are mentioned in Annexure 3. To fast forward the disinvestment policy, I'm asking NITI to work out on the next list of center public sector companies that would be taken up for strategic disinvestment. To similarly incentivize states to take to disinvestment of their public sector companies, we will work out an incentive package of central funds to states. Idle assets will not contribute to Atmanirbhar Bharat. The non-core assets largely consist of surplus land with government ministries and departments and public sector enterprises. Monetizing of land can either be by way of direct sale or concession or by similar means. This requires special abilities, and for this purpose, I propose to use a special purpose vehicle in the form of a company that would carry out this activity. In order to ensure timely completion of closure of sick or loss-making CPSEs, we will introduce a revised mechanism that will ensure timely closure of such units. I have estimated 1,75,000 crores as receipts from disinvestment in BE 21-22. Government financial reforms. Under the Treasury single account, the TSA system, autonomous bodies directly draw funds from the government's account at the time of actual expenditure, saving interest costs. We will extend the TSA system for universal application from 21-22. On the recommendation of the 15th Finance Commission, we have undertaken a detailed exercise to rationalize and bring down the number of centrally sponsored schemes. This will enable consolidation of outlays for better impact. The government is committed to the development of multi-state cooperatives and will provide all support to them. To further streamline the ease of doing business for cooperatives, I propose to set up a separate administrative structure for them. So the third pillar of Atmanirbhar Bharat, inclusive development for aspirational India. Honorable Speaker, sir, under this pillar, I will cover agriculture and allied sectors, farmers' welfare and rural India, migrant workers and labor, and financial inclusion. Agriculture. Our government is committed to the welfare of farmers. The MSP regime has undergone a sea change to assure price that is at least 1.5 times the cost of production across all commodities. The procurement has also continued to increase at a steady pace. This has resulted in increase in payment to farmers substantially. In case of wheat, a total amount paid to farmers in 2013-14. Honorable Speaker, sir, the data that I give now is important for all honorable members to kindly hear. In case of wheat, the total amount paid to farmers in 2013-14 was 33,874 crores. In 2019-20, it was 62,802 crores. And even better, Honorable Speaker, in 2020-2021, this amount paid to farmers was 75,060 crores. Honorable Speaker, again an important fact, the number of wheat growing farmers that were benefited increased in 2020-21 to 43.36 lakhs compared to 35.57 lakhs in 2019-20. That much of an increase within 1 year. For paddy, again an important data. For paddy, the amount paid in 2013-14 was 63,928 crores. In 2019-20, this increased to 1,41,930 crores. Even better, in 2020-2021, in 2020-21, this is further estimated, and I'm saying this is further estimated because the procurement is ongoing, and therefore I can't give you the final figure. This is further estimated to increase to 1,72,752 crores. The number of farmers benefited increased from 1.24 crores in 2019-20 to 1.54 crores in 2020-21. In the same way, Honorable Speaker, sir, in the case of pulses, the amount paid in 2013-14 was 236 crores. In 2019-20, this was increased to 8,285 crores. Now in 2021, it is at 10,530 crores. More than 40 times increase from 2013-14. The receipts to cotton farmers have seen a stupendous increase from 90 crores in 2013-14 to 25,974 crores I'm giving you data as of 27th January 2021. This is bound to increase. From 90 crores for cotton farmers in 2013-14 to 25,974 crores in 2021. All the details in complete narration is available in Annexure 4 to my speech. Early this year, Honorable Prime Minister had launched the Swamitwa scheme. Under this, a record of rights is being given to property owners in villages. Up till now, about 1.80 lakh property owners in 1,241 villages have been provided cards. I propose during 21-22 to extend this to cover all states and union territories. To provide adequate credit to our farmers, I have enhanced the agricultural credit target to 16.5 lakh crores in this year. We will focus on ensuring increased credit flow to animal husbandry, Pashupalan, dairy, and to Matsyakar, to the fisheries. We are enhancing the allocation to the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund from 30,000 crores to 40,000 crores. The Micro Irrigation Fund, with a corpus of 5,000 crores, has been created under NABARD. I propose to double it by augmenting it by another 5,000 crores to boost value addition in agriculture and allied products and their exports. The scope of Operation Green Scheme that is presently applicable to